at, at the very last week, that's what I focus the most, trying to understand all the techniques and trying to have it clear on my mind. But that was like my main concern, like how much of technique I will need to, to know and to be confident about the technique.
So what did you find out during the test? Did you know it enough?
There were many questions related to techniques. No, like exactly like what is this technique? That I knew the concept, that I have to know the concept, but many questions were related, like what techniques will you use? So I felt that, yeah, there was much question about techniques.
Okay. And whenever you went to take the test, did you feel like you knew enough, or was it just techniques that you felt you had some doubt on?
Just technique, because I think once I ask you, what about techniques? So in my mind, like for me to feel like 100% secure, in my mind, I said to myself, I need to know all the 50 techniques.
Okay.
But that wasn't my case. I just went like maybe the financial ones, the user cases scenarios, kind of, that I tried to, to do good on those one, and the ones that were numerical questions. But for the knowledge area, at least I try to memorize like all the 6 knowledge area and the task. So when I went to the exam, I just dump out in a sheet of paper all, the techniques and the task. So I had it like in front of me. That was, like the technique that I use. And then I enforce more the chapter that are more questions about it. The ones that are like 35%, the design options. So I did a lot more concentrate on those. And on my final evaluation, I did good in all knowledge area, but in elicitation and collaboration, I had like lower.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was
So did you get lower on the test on those knowledge areas? But you passed
just
it, right?
in that one.
You got one lower, but you still passed the test.
Yeah, I passed right. They said like on the out of the 6 knowledge area, elicitation and collaboration, I had like lower on the standard, compared to whatever they put on the report they gave you, I had like lower or less in
Yes.
elicitation and collaboration. Then other task area, I did good.
Okay, good, good. Inez, I'm going to jump to Andrea. Inez studied on her own, guys. Inez, did you use any of our recordings or anything?
Yes, I went to the recording, the study group that you have for, should be maybe, I don't know, last year, or the ones I listened to 2 of them. And then you gave me the code for the watermark mock test. So I bought 1 month of that.
Okay.
And I also, like 2 years ago, I studied with Adaptive US.
Okay.
That's where I did the PDUs with them. And then I pay, because that was on 2023, 2024. So I pay again to get access to their portal, the student portal. So I paid like 2 months. And I took the tips that I remember the first time I met you, that you said like the chapter about the soft skill, the chapter at the end.
Yes.
You say like you study those 2 together. So I kind of went by your map that you explained.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So I'm glad, yes, I'm glad that I got to get some of the material that you shared with me.
I'm glad it was beneficial. Let's jump to Andrea. Andrea lives in New Zealand, folks. So it's morning for you, right?
It's midday, so it's 4th of July already. So happy 4th of July for those ones that celebrate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Andrea was a member of our CBAP study group last year. whenever we did
Yeah.
the normal study, and she was a rock star. So Andrea, you just got your CCBA. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes. So Thea already kind of introduced me. I'm in New Zealand. I work for the Department of Conservation, so that's the government of New Zealand. And I joined the study group in January last year. So I kind of completed from January all the way to November, going religiously to the study group. And I must confess, most of the times I'm prepared, haven't not read the BABOK before. But firstly, it gave me a lot of confidence to understand that, yes, everything that I've done in the past was being a business analyst. That bring me a lot of confidence. Then I started filling in the application, because for me, the application and justify that I had done a number of years of business analyst, I wasn't sure. So instead of enrolling for the CBAP, I enrolled for the CCBA. I was very close, but I just didn't want to continue forcing things into things to fit. So I probably studied during that last year the hour of the study group, and maybe per week another half an hour. So I would say I might have done in total 60 hours of study last year, if you count it like that, like 40 weeks of coming to the every meeting and then an hour extra here and there. Probably filling in the application took me a lot more than that, but but that's another thing. And then what I did to study is I had last year committed myself to I paid the exam for doing it in June. And this year it was 1st of June, and I had 15 days to prepare for the exam because it was going to expire the 16th. And so I enrolled myself to the exam on the 16th, and I grabbed all of my notes that I had from the previous study group sessions. I did a little bit of what it was said just now, grab the highest ranking topics to study first. So I study first chapter 7. I study by reading it all for once, really in depth, requirements analysis and design definition. That one is about 32% or 30 if you're doing the CBAP, I mean. I studied that one really thoroughly, read the chapter 2 times. I'm quite visual, so I need to write down stuff. And unfortunately, my laptop is not working because I was going to share with you the file that I created, but I'll put it I'll hook up Thea with the file. I did summaries in different ways, visual ways that I could relate to the things. And then I moved from the highest ranking to the next highest ranking chapter in that order, and reread the chapter in 15 days, reread the chapters 2 times, and look at the writing some summary, and then did the questions from Watermark that we had done before in the past with Thea. That was my preparation. I think because I'm a visual learner, I needed to go through the process of writing some things out, but not everybody needs to do that. And I must say, if you can do more than 15 days before the exam of studying, because I went to the exam so exhausted, with my brain so full up, that it almost was hard to concentrate it on the exam. So do rest before the exam. Make sure you have some time to let the information sink in. I think the other key, the key thing was using Bob's website and going through when I was looking at the techniques. I look at one technique and went into the recording that Bob has really specified the techniques. Look at it. If I didn't understand it, probably use ChatGPT or something to see, according to Babok, what you can tell me about this technique, and that helped me a little bit. But the other thing, and unfortunately I can't share my screen, is in page 138 from the Babok. I found it really useful. That's the chapter 7 and 7.1. It talks about model categories, and it kind of lumps up models, like techniques, into different groups of model categories. And I found that really useful to understand what type of models you can use for each of the different solutions. And so in the way that my brain works. It's not just about knowing the 50 categories. It was also about the 50 techniques, but it was also about how to group them and how to understand what would be the way that you would use that technique, especially for those ones that I hadn't used in the past for elicitation or for things like that. And so, yeah, page 138, it has a distinction between rationale models, activity flow models, data and information models, people and roles and capability. And that gave me some idea of how to split. And that helped you already with almost 20% of the, 20 of the 50 techniques. So that helped me a lot. The other ones that I kind of grouped together were all the in my mind, all of the facilitation and elicitation techniques that for me are the brainstorming, focus groups, collaborative games, interviews, observation, reviews, summary questions, workshop. All of those ones for me were all of facilitation. And what I did is I named them on in ChatGPT and said, according to Babok, could you compare all of these techniques? And it gave me a really good summary of like of the comparison between all of them. And then I also wrote down which ones were the ones that were used most and which ones are the ones that were in the different tasks from the different steps of the knowledge areas. And that helped me a lot too. But as I say, because I study in such a short time frame, my brain at the end, it was really, really tired. But what I did realize is that I didn't have long questions. That I heard a lot of people talking about long questions. Most of the questions were normal length. They were all quite comprehensive. They weren't about like how many techniques are there in this knowledge area. They were much more scenario based, and so you really had to start read it and take your time to read it and pay attention to what they were actually asking. And so at one point at the end of studying, I was trying to memorize from each knowledge area, which were then like I knew the tasks, but I couldn't memorize all of the techniques and all of the elements inside it that comes in and stuff, and what's the inputs and the outputs. And I realized when I was doing the test that just knowing in general was enough. So yeah, that's basically my summary, I think.
So Andrea, you took this TCBA, so you didn't have the really long questions that we're going to have on the CBAP.
Yeah, probably
But,
that was the
but it's the
reason.
same
Yeah.
type of questions. It's a scenario-based question. It says they're in a manufacturing company and they have this problem and this is the information that they have and what should they do next. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing we're seeing with the watermark, but they're not exactly like watermark questions, are they?
No, I found it that because I have a spreadsheet with all the watermark questions, so I will share that afterwards as well. That ones I did while we were studying last year.
Mm-hmm.
So that really helped me speed up when I was doing the studying myself on those 15 days. But on those watermark questions, there's a lot of questions that are trying for you to make yourself memorize exactly which one is fits into which. And sometimes in what I found in the test, that is more about comprehensive than just knowing exactly which one. You still need to know it about the Babok. You can't just rely on your general knowledge. But yeah.
Okay, you're welcome to share anything you want with me, Andrea, but because of the watermark questions are copyrighted, I couldn't share that with everybody.
That's okay. I share my notes though.
Share, please. We want to see your notes. I can share your notes. That would be
the
great.
notes can be shared.
But I'm going to honor their copyright because they
Yeah,
are,
no. I know that I could get in trouble if not, but yeah, the notes are good. I'll send you the notes.
Andrea, whenever you went to take the test, I know you were exhausted. I know that you kind of had to rush it, but did you feel prepared? Or did you feel like it's an 80% chance?
I didn't know what to think. I think I was so tired. But because I went also, the other part of my experience was that I went to a specific place to take the test. And that removed all the pressure of cleaning up a room on my house and
Right.
doing all of these checks and stuff. And it really removed the pressure. And then when I started doing the question, I was saying, oh, it's not so bad. So I did feel like, and I think my feeling before doing the exam, it was like, I know a lot. I think that even if I don't pass, I feel proud of what I achieved by studying. Like I can understand the concepts, and if I fail, it's because I didn't take enough time to study it and prepare for the exam. But like I felt like I had the comprehension, and very similar to, sorry, the last person that was talking, Ines. I had one knowledge area low, which was lower than the average of everybody else, which was knowledge area number 8, because that one was the one that had the solution evaluation, because that one was the one that had the least percentage. So I just didn't study it enough. I just left it like briefly review a little bit of it. And all the others, I had mostly high scores and then one medium. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So tell us, let me ask you this question, then we'll go back to Inez and let her answer the same question. What was your experience in going in and taking the test? Was there anything that surprised you, or is there anything that you wish people had told you that you want to be sure people know about?
I think that for me, because I had even though I'm saying I rushed the study in those 15 days, I had the whole year before talking with Thea and Rob and all of the other people from the study group and learning about a lot of things. And that's the most important thing, that you absorb things with time as well, and that when you go there, that you try to think about all of those situations, because it could be sometimes really tricky to read the questions and understand what they're asking. And sometimes I was feeling like there's not a clear answer. They could all be answers. But we had practiced that. So I felt happy that we had practiced that and tried to do the elimination system of which one is definitely no and which ones can be. And as well, something that I heard in the study group is about the flagging of the questions. And so I flagged 30-something questions, and I had 30 minutes left, and I went back to the flag questions. And after looking at 10 minutes of flag questions, I couldn't do it anymore, and I just submitted. So depends how tired you are also the day of the exam. That's why rest is important. But the flagging was a really good thing.
Okay, thank you. Inez, let's talk about you. Whenever you went to take your test, was there anything that surprised you or you wish you had known?
Well, yes, I had some issues. I'll talk about the issues because that's something that I might, go back to IIBA to talk about it. But one thing that I didn't know, or maybe I knew, but I forgot, that the test has it has a calculator. Like when you're taking the test, there's an option for calculation. So I didn't realize that. And my exam had a lot of calculation. So I did those calculations by hand. So with my pen, because they gave me like a whiteboard, the ones that you erase, and then so I say no, I feel I'm on the old school. Give me sheet of paper and a pencil. So all my calculation, I did in most of them by hand. So I waste time, at the beginning with those. And then when I look at the screen is when I saw, oh, there's a calculator here. So be aware that you have the calculator. And in my case, at the beginning, I had maybe like 30 questions. The numerical question, a huge question, a lot of text and graphics, like some techniques with the graphic workflow. And those were like really, really long. So that's what my test start. But I don't know if that's the way they do it. Then when after maybe the 31 question, 25 question, then they start with the short ones, the case-based scenario. And I was like more relieved because, you know, it was easier to read. I didn't have to read that long. I didn't have to do any calculation. So then after maybe 45 minutes, that's when I felt more confident because
Right.
no more questions like the first one were really, I said, oh my gosh, and plus the calculation. That was
Right.
the experience. But let me tell you what happened with the center I went to. I went to the Tampa. There's a center in Tampa. So then the lady told me that it's the first time they have a CBAP test.
Uh-huh.
So I was scheduled for April 28th. And I took the around 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So I received an email from the center saying like request to come earlier. So I said, okay. It was like about 4:30. So I said, okay, I'm gonna be there at 2. So I went on April 28th at 2 o'clock. So when I sat down to take the test, I got an error on the screen. And it said like something at the end, it was something like your test is gonna be released at 11 p.m. until
No.
3 a.m. the next day. So I say, how comes? I was so confused. So it was a bad day. So that lady from the center, she calls customer support, PSI, and they said that I need to reschedule the exam. Imagine.
Oh,
So
okay.
she didn't help much. That's what she said. Then she gave me, I need to turn on the light.
Okay.
Because you can hear me.
So I got an error similar to that as well that said that my test wouldn't start for like 4 hours,
Okay.
and they had to literally restart the computer and call customer service, but they got it
Okay.
worked. So, and
Did
what
you go
happened
to
with you?
did you go to Tampa Center or somewhere
No,
else?
I went to a different PSI.
Okay. So that time on April 28th, she gave me like a customer support for PSI. I called customer support. They tried to fix it. They said like the exam is locked. They can't do anything, that I need to reschedule. So I say, how do you expect from IIBA or whoever it is, PSI, something like this happen? So when I get home, I contacted IIBA and I said, I won't pay again for the exam because
Right.
my due day, I think it was May something. So, and I couldn't do it on May. So I need to do it on June because I already blocked, I have so much things going on May. So they finally, apologized and they extended the time. So I scheduled for June 20th. So again, I received the same email from the center if I can come earlier. And because I had a previous experience, I say, no, I won't take any pressure. I scheduled for 4 p.m. So I told her the earliest that I can go is 3,
Okay.
not like the first time that I went maybe like 2 hours ahead. So what do you think? The same thing happened. It's the same error that the test it's not available until 11 p.m. and between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. So I said to the girl that is, on the center, there's only one girl. I said, well, I mean, I'm gonna cry here. And literally I start, my tears went from my eyes. I said, I can't believe this. It's not possible. So she called again, PSI, and they said, this guy maybe, said you need to take the exam at the exact time you are scheduled. So
Okay.
I said, oh, I hope so. So I said to her, okay, I'm gonna go to eat something and then I'll come back. So when I came back, if it was, that was the rule since the beginning. Maybe that same thing happened on April. So when at 4 p.m. I sit down and, the test was available for me.
Awesome.
So I want to contact IIBA because maybe the error message also is wrong, because if they said like the test will be available at 4 p.m., it makes sense. Okay, that's the time I schedule it.
Right.
And I need, because we are BA, and that's what BA said. If you find like an error,
yes, we report our errors.
The root cause of the error. So they need to fix that. And I told the lady, don't ask anyone for CBAP to come earlier, because there's a rule. They have a rule. Because she said, oh, this center, they have some other tests like for nurses, for technical people, electrician. And she said, this is the first time that it happens. And I said, well, write it down, CBAP. They won't let you get in earlier. So that was my experience.
Very good. I'm glad you're able to take it. Good job sticking in there.
Yeah, I'm so glad.
So for those of you in the class, I've asked several questions of things I thought you would want to hear, but why don't y'all ask some questions? And then we'll let Inez and Andrea answer your question.
So Inez, I was wondering, do you feel like you had enough time for each of the questions, or did you feel like rushed with the questions? I guess Andrea or Inez could answer that.
I think I was doing, well after I passed those like 25 questions, the long ones, but I was constantly looking at the timer, like see, okay, this is I am the 80 question. I have like 40 left, and this is the time. So I was like kind of myself trying to manage the time.
Okay.
But yeah, I spent like the 3.5 hours from the exam. I started at 4 and I think I left 7 something. And like Andrea, I flagged some questions and I went back, but then I was so exhausted that I said, oh no, I won't go through all the flags that I have. But a good thing is that the exam says I have one blank, that I left one blank that I didn't remember. So when I was before I click like submit, it says to you, you have like one blank and you have 20 flagged. So that's a good thing.
Oh yeah, that's good.
It tells you if you left something, without any answer.
Okay,
That's right.
Cool.
For me, like it was a different exam because it was the CCBA, and probably that's why I had the shorter questions and stuff. I felt that I was doing really well, and then suddenly it felt like the whole time has passed. Like I thought like, oh, I'm gonna finish with 1 hour, and then I finished with 30 minutes, which still is a good amount of time. But yes, and sometimes I was taking my time because I was so tired reading the questions. I had to read them 3 times sometimes and continue to look at the screen. I think if I wasn't that tired, I probably would have done it better. But yeah, I still had 30 minutes at the end, like I said, and then I did 10 minutes of reviewing the flags and I just closed the exam. I said finish. And it was so funny because in the screen where I clicked finish and a message came up. And I was like, oh, this is saying that I finished the exam. That's it. And I actually looked closer because it was really tiny font and it said that I passed. So as soon as I finished the exam, it told me that I passed. And I was like, wow.
Nice. Okay.
And then a few hours later, I received the email from IIBA saying that I passed and now the different, for the different knowledge areas, how I had done. So.
Okay.
Very
Nice.
good. Very good. The font is like 6-point font. It's ridiculous.
Kidding.
Especially for older eyes. It's like, you want me to read that? And it's, they don't.
And
it's
she was
not,
tired.
and she was tired. And
I was asked about the timing.
Yes, go ahead.
Did you guys find it like stressful? Like I panic like that. Like I'll look at the time like, oh my God, I only have 3 hours and 42 minutes. But did you
Yeah,
find
I'm
this like
with
is
you,
it
Michelle.
did you find yourself like oh like keep checking? Because I think that would stress me out instead of focusing on the test.
Yeah, I think like in a way it does. It does, but like I was at one point I was like, oh, I'm in question 30 and I use 30 minutes. I don't know, I don't remember what it was, but I did some conversion and again I was quite asleep, so I don't know how good my math was, but and I said, no, I'm doing okay. And but then it felt like I used all my time almost when I thought that I was quite ahead. So it can make you stressed, but like if you already know that's how it's gonna be, I think that knowing that you're gonna have the clock there, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ines, but it goes backwards, the clock. So it tells you how many minutes you have left, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
so you can see like, oh, I have like 90 minutes left and I'm on question 80. And so you have to do reverse thinking, okay, how
Right.
many questions I have left and stuff like that.
Okay.
Or what you can do is you can do the math before going and say, I have this amount of time, this amount of questions. I should be in question 50 by this time, or in question 60. And that might release the pressure or the anxiety for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also suggest that you do the mock test, the whole 120 questions, because that gives you like kind of experience how it's gonna be the test. I did those mock tests. I took maybe like 3 full mock tests at home, and when you're doing the mock test, you feel, the pressure, even if you're at home, like, 120 question, 3.5, so much reading. So you have I suggest to take the mock test, so you have the experience how it's gonna be
Right.
when you sit down at the and in the real exam. How it's spending 3.5 hours sitting, and you get tired. In my case, even the same, I'm left-handed, so the mouse in the center, it wasn't like long enough for me to have my mouse on my left hand. So I have like to sit down in some way to handle the mouse, and my neck, I don't know, like the monitor with my glasses that I have, like the reading glasses somewhere here. So I have to be all the time like doing like this, my neck up. So I have some issues with that, but I say, no, I have to finish this. Whatever, if I need to hold my neck, if I have to finish. So physically, if you do your mock test, so the time, being sitting that long, even your hand, the mouse, all of those little things, if you get used to before, that will give you like figure it out how you're gonna.
Yeah, and if you calculate the time, I would say also try to even take a small break if you can, or two, just because like we're not used to use like in testing our brain for 3 hours in a row. Even when you're working, you stand up and you get a coffee, or you stand up and you look at your phone for 2 seconds, and is a distraction that sometimes release the pressure. So see if you can do something to just try to relax yourself in the middle of the exam.
So you
How
need
many
to plan
breaks have you?
for a bathroom break and get up and just stretch. And you could stretch in your chair too, but give yourself that. Someone had a question?
I was just wondering, how many breaks did you guys take, and did it help you to like reset mentally when you went back to answer the question?
I was terrible, so I'm not following my own advice. I went up only once to drink water, and it was when I finished answering all the questions. I was kind of feeling nervous that I wouldn't get around if I didn't. And when I finished answering all the questions, I had a drink of water. I had to leave the room to get the drink of water and come back. And when I got back, I looked at the flagged, so I had 30 minutes more for the thing. So I was like 2 hours and a half without without a break. That's why I'm saying it's good to take a break.
So I dropped something in the chat for y'all. Let me just share it on screen instead of trying to make you go look at the chat. This is what I would suggest that you consider, and I want you to customize it to your own needs. But in the first hour, begin with question 50 for the CBAP. You're going to skip all of those super long questions. Those are all at the beginning. I don't know why they do it. I've had people say they do it to scare you. It is scary. I don't know why. It's almost like just quit now. Just skip them. Start with question 50, get to 100. Then during the second hour, do 100 through 200. And then during the third hour, go back to question 1 and go through those first 50. And then during your last half hour, review your flagged and any blanks. In your last 10 minutes, just guess at anything that's blank. If you, I mean, you have 1 in 4 chance if you guess, but if it's blank, it's going to be wrong. So calculate this out so you don't have that panic, Michelle, and you don't have the, oh no, what do I have to keep looking? No, you just have to know for this little block of time, I'm going to do just these. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I wish I should know that.
And thank you for that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Thank you
people
for
that come
that.
into
Yeah,
my class know all these. Yes,
are there 200 questions in the CBAP?
there's
120.
250. Did I do it wrong?
120 in the CBAP.
Ah,
Yeah.
well, look at this.
So I would say starting 60.
Okay,
Probably.
start at 50 and get to
One.
100.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Start at 50 and get to what? What do you think it should be? 120. That's 2 sets of 60. So get to 75. And then do 75 through 120.
120.
Okay, that should work then.
Okay.
But if you break it down into smaller parts, you don't have to, you're not doing the whole test. You're just doing this part for right now.
Yeah.
And
Seeing it
you're going to
broken down.
find this is only
That
25
would help.
questions for the first hour. You're going to beat that, right? You're going to pass that. So then you can go on and keep working to get to 120, and you're going to go, wait a minute, 2 hours isn't even up. But take a break. Every hour, take a break. You do have
Okay.
to go back through security every time you come back from the bathroom, but you can stop and, stretch your neck, stretch your arms. You are in a cubicle. It is this wide. So if you stretch your arms and there's somebody there, you're into their cubicle. So you have to be aware of if anybody's beside you. I honestly was so focused on this, I had no clue. There were people there. I don't know what they look like. I don't know what they were taking. I don't know what gender they were. It didn't matter. Then suddenly they were gone. I didn't have a clue they left.
You're very focused.
I
Yeah.
was very focused. Let's talk about math questions, Andrea and Inez. Andrea, did you have math questions?
No, I didn't. I did have a question that asked about return on investment, I think it was, but it was a comprehensive one. But I had I had studied all of the financial analysis kind of formulas, but I didn't get to use them in the end.
Inez, did you have math questions?
Yes, a lot.
And you didn't you had a calculator, so that made it even more interesting, didn't it?
Oh,
Yes, I spent I spent a good amount of time doing those calculations by
But you
hand.
still finished all the questions, right?
Yes, I did finish.
So
all of
that
them.
gives everybody hope. If you do it that way and you still
Yeah.
finish, you're doing good.
Because
Okay.
the numerical question were at the first one, the ones that you say like before the 50 question, all numerical, all calculation were at the beginning. So when that passed, then I was more relieved because I saw, okay, no more. No, I always was waiting for another one, but not. After those first 30 or 40, everything went more smooth. But I have to do a lot of calculation can't remember exactly, but they're about the cost. Like, they gave you like 3 different options, like A, B, and C. This project that and different like costs for the project. So like by license, so the like the first year, this option is like depends on the user. So if the company has 20 users, then it's gonna be like $50 for each user. This option B, so you need to do all the calculation for each one of the options to select the best one option, the most valuable one. And so, yeah, I had calculation. What else? Other type of calculation I had?
You probably had some estimation.
Yeah, estimation.
You need to know what the different kinds of estimation are so that you can plug in the proper formulas for those estimations. Return on investment, you need to know that formula.
Yeah,
So-
but most of the time I didn't have like to calculate with the formula. Most were like calculating the cost for different options that they gave. And each option has different type of cost, like licensing costs based on the user. And that was my calculation, but I can't remember like doing any formula.
Okay.
They were
So
also like, yeah, the flow chart that they show you like what is the relation between, like I think that the use case that you need to know the
So
relation. Yeah.
she's talking about cardinality.
Yes, there were many flow chart, different like pictures of things that you have to.
So you need to know the cardinality, crow's foot notation, and the other one where it's like 1 to 0 or 1 to 1. That other type
multiply.
of comparison. You need to know class diagrams, how class diagrams are identified, organized, what's below the line in a class diagram, what's included in a class diagram. You need to know context diagrams. You need to know the estimation types. You need to know the formula for return on investment. And then, as Inez said, there's going to be kind of essay questions that say, you're comparing 3 different products for the company to either buy or build. And here's all the statistics. And so you have to look at it and then go down and look at the answers and see what it's really asking, and then go back up and read the question again. I probably had 10 math questions. Inez, how many did you have?
With numerical, yeah,
Yes.
maybe 12.
12?
Yeah, can
So
go
12
12.
isn't huge in, 120 questions, but as I told you, I think there were probably 3 to 5 of them. I swear the right answer was not on the page. And I'm not bad at math, but I couldn't find the right answer. So if you run into that, it's not the end of the world. You can still pass, but just do your best.
The other thing that I did was throw in ChatGPT in Copilot again. Can you make me some questions about financial analysis in BABOK style for calculating present value, MVP, royal payback time, stuff like that. And they gave me and then Copilot gave me the question type, and then I did some activities. I did some exercise like that, not knowing that actually was for not for my exam, but I thought that maybe it would come. So I did that, and that also helped me. It wasn't when you do it with Copilot or any other thing, sometimes they don't give you the exact formula that they use in BABOK, but usually you will end up in the result. Like BABOK is not necessarily testing you about the formula, but it's about getting the results. So it's okay. But what I was worried about that one, it had a lot of exponentials. So they had like, if it was over a couple of years, every time that it was over a year, you had to put it in as an exponential in the formula. And I was like, how I'm gonna calculate that with a tiny calculator. But anyway, that was my experience. I do have to go, but it was lovely to see you, Thea, and let me know if
Thank
we
you.
can help anyway another time.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you and
Has your
congrats.
daughter healed up okay?
Sorry?
Did your daughter heal up when she broke her clavicle? Everything good?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. This year she broke the clavicle again.
Oh,
No
no.
way.
The other
She's
side.
7 now, right?
She's 4.
Oh no, that's even worse.
So she
Okay.
broke it once in Easter when she was 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then she broke it like almost like a month and a year after on the other side. Now that she's
Okay.
4. And yes, and I was single parenting, and that's why I didn't study more than 15 days for my
Well,
exam.
I kind of knew that was the case, but I was thinking about you. Thank you, Andrea, for
Thank
joining
you.
us. We will ask Inez all the rest of the questions.
Good, good. She can take over.
Thanks,
She's
Andrea.
got this.
Okay. Thank you,
All the
Andrea.
best. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Andrea.
I love these classes because we get to know each other. And we only know as much as you want to show us or tell us. But I remember that her daughter had broken her clavicle, and it's like, oh, something seems weird. I can't believe she broke the other side.
That
And
is,
that's such
that's
a young
crazy.
age. She doesn't understand
Mhm.
why she's hurting. And that's one of the most painful breaks you can have, I think. Inez, is there something else that we would benefit from knowing in preparing for our CBAPs?
Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah. Okay, class, any questions for Inez?
Oh, yeah. I have a question. How did you practice? You pick 50 questions, all simulation. What would you advise? Or 25 for to warm up?
Well, I bought the watermark exam, the mock with the Tampa Bay discount for 1 month. So what I was doing is like I did the chapter exam. They have like every chapter, they have one exam. So I went to that exam. And at the end, then I took the mock, the complete simulation.
Mhm.
I think I did twice that. So that was when I was preparing for April 28th.
Mhm. And
So after that, I only bought like 1 month. So I didn't have it when, you know, I have to reschedule for June. I didn't have watermark anymore. So I didn't pay again. But I did have the adaptive US because I paid for the portal. I studied with
Okay.
adaptive US in 2024. So I went back to the adaptive, and they do have mock-up test, and they have also by chapter. So when I study, like I also study with a watermark study guide. So I read the watermark, and then I read the BABOK, and then I start doing by chapter the test. So on the adaptive US portal, they have like by chapter, they have like concept questions, like 50 concept. They have a scenario-based question by chapter. So I practice with that, you know, for each chapter. At least for the like the business, the knowledge area, the design, requirement design, and analysis design.
Uh-huh.
And then I took like 2 more mock-up tests, 120 question.
And a question regarding how would you recommend to read Babok? So I like Watermark, this guide, and I have questions, but it's Babok itself sounds boring a little bit.
Yeah, I like the watermark because they like explain to you, you know, they put like the concept on your mind, so you can have like a mind map and understand the concepts, because the Babok is really, you know, like it's like a dumping, you know, knowledge without any structure. But the test really are picky because they're expecting you to respond as the Babok. So I would say you need to read the Babok, even if it's boring, just to get like the Babok
Gotta get
concept.
the voice of the Babok. But I want
Right.
to tell you that the techniques in Watermark do not give you the depth that you need. You've got to read the techniques out of the Babok
Oh,
also.
the
Mhm.
Babok.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's details in the Babok that it's like, oh, you got to know this piece, and it's not in Watermark at all.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, thank you. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also I noticed, and I wasn't very good in that one, like in the Babok, when you go to each of the tasks that they explain, the tools and guidelines, I wasn't really like paying much attention, but most of the question I think came from those tools and guidelines. All the scenario questions,
Okay.
the
The
way they are on the Babok.
right. So you're talking about the elements
Mm-hmm.
and the guidelines, and then the techniques.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And inputs for them are there are questions on there. It's not going to say what's the input. It's going to say what do you need.
What do you need?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And then or what are you providing or producing? That would be the output. But you need to know. That's why I gave you the spreadsheet. You need to know what are the inputs, what are the elements, then the guidelines, and then the techniques. It's really good if you know what the stakeholders' roles are for each task, but that's not as many questions. And then what are you providing or producing is the output. What other questions do we have for Inez? Inez, whenever you turned in your application, did they accept it quickly?
Yes.
How quickly was it?
I did my application, I believe it was in 2024, and I can't remember exactly, but I didn't have to wait much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it
I did
hours?
mine last week and mine was immediate.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I
Good.
was immediately able to schedule. So
So they didn't even ask your references for input.
no.
Mine didn't either. Yeah, they accepted mine right away too. I think it was, yeah, within minutes. So
Awesome. Awesome. So that may be what they're doing right now. They're kind of shrinking some of their headcount up at the international group. So I can't tell you that's going to happen to you, but statistically, look at what we have.
yeah.
Who is getting ready to turn in their application? Who has already had their application turned in?
Turn mine in. Yeah.
Okay. All right. If anybody needs assistance, please reach out for that. Inez, is there anything you wish you had done differently whenever you prepared for or took your test? Other than knowing where the calculator is.
So I think obviously you need to take the time and make the commitment to study. But if you go, with the watermark study guide plus the Babok, and at least 2 times to read them completely, I think you get a good, knowledge.
Okay, very good. Well, folks, in this class, we're doing this over a 6-month period. Nobody else does this. A lot of people do this over a 2 or 3 week period, and then they say, oh yeah, you're ready to go take the test. You are much better prepared because, you can't get it all in your head quickly, and you continue to build on it. So I have no doubt that I have no doubt that you're going to be able to pass it. I can't guarantee you're going to pass it on the first time, but I can guarantee that you can pass it because other people have passed it. Thousands. What is it? 22,000 people have passed it. So you can do it. Okay. Any other
Okay.
questions for Inez? Okay. Y'all give me a temperature read. How do you feel about taking the test? We're now doing multiple chapters of questions together. That means that we've been through it all pretty thoroughly. Now we're just kind of finding those little gaps that we have. How do you feel? Let's start with.
I like, yeah,
Oh,
I
go
like
ahead.
I like the idea that that doing multiple chapters, because the test is going to be all different ones.
Going to
So
be all mixed up. That's
yeah.
true. Aaron, how do you feel about taking the test now?
I'm
I'm gonna
practicing.
feel. I'm just waiting for October. So I'm just.
I know.
I'm just kind of
Yes.
pacing myself. Like I know it's a lot, so I haven't. I'm just trying to absorb everything right now. I haven't really been focused on really studying a whole lot. So I imagine probably beginning of August, maybe end of August, I will probably get to the place where because I just know like I'm not going to retain what I have right now. But I think this is awesome because even just as we're going through the questions, I feel like I have a better sense of an understanding of it, and I think that's just super valuable. I'm just hoping that everyone else that's in this group that's taking it just doesn't raise the bar so high that it makes it that much more difficult for me in October, because I know they're gonna ace it.
You know, they are going to ruin your master plan because they are going to raise the bar. But I have no doubt that you're going to be able to do it. But I do encourage you not to slow down, not to take a whole week off. The sooner, I mean, if you let your short-term memory think it doesn't need to go to long-term memory, it's gone. So you got to keep needing this information. And if you start like mentoring somebody else who's getting ready to take it, that way you change your role and you keep a urgency of getting the information right. Irina, what do you think about taking the test now?
Oh, I'm planning beginning August. I study every night, like at least 25 questions, sometimes 50.
Okay.
It goes pretty well. Yeah, but I hate reading the book, to be honest. And so I love watermark study guide, very good and very informative. And I love these watermark questions.
Awesome.
Oh,
Awesome. I had someone, she said, I've got 30 days to pass the CBAP, and I just now found out about it. And so I'm going to do nothing but study for the CBAP. And I said, okay, I'm going to tell you the order that I think you should do it in. I'm going to tell you what you're going to need. She texted me in about a week. She said, Babok is really dry. And I'm like, you're packing it in so hard. You know, yes, it's going to be dry.
so I read some interesting stories from LinkedIn when one girl said, I have a marathon, 10 certificates for business analysis. And after 2 months already, I've got 4 of them, including CBAP. This was a
Oh,
kind of
wow.
inspiring. Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it.
It's a different mindset and a different hobby.
Yeah, and like people say, I never touched the book or watermark or whatever, and I just did it from a first try. I don't know if it's true or not.
Wow.
No, it's not like real life. I mean, there's too many things that are
Right.
different, like business objectives. That's not what I would think business objectives should be called, but it calls them business objectives if they're very detailed and precise. That's the opposite. I would call those business, anyway. Let me go to you, Michelle. Michelle, how do you feel about taking your test now?
I feel like you guys know. But honestly,
Tell us, Michelle.
honestly, I shared this with my group, but I tried to recreate the notes so that I can understand or remember them a little bit better. I used the word rememberful, and somebody was like, "What do you mean memorable?" I was like, "No, I'm not really gonna, it's not a memory I'm making. I just need to remember it for a while." But I got very creative in my technique on studying. I do dedicate at least an hour every day, whether it's after the evening or like towards the end of my workday, to focus on it. I just want to like get it done and over with, but I'm with Aaron. I have 3 October, or I'm going to be October. I feel I think I just want to do it, just be done with it, and I'm hopeful, honestly. I have a little thing on my desk that says, "Congratulations, you passed," just to speak it into existence. And I look at it every day, so.
Okay, good. I'm concerned about you, Michelle and Aaron. I'm afraid you're going to get burned out and just hate it by the time it's time to take the test.
I started reading the Agile extension. It's
Mhm.
so much cooler. But
Well, yeah, it's a lot younger too, though.
there's certain things that I like I'll blend in and the reason I'm gonna take the AAC first, but I'm trying to keep it all in my brain this way. So
Okay. Is there any conflict in terminology between the AAC and the BABOK?
not that I've seen so far. It's just more realistic, I feel, so it makes more
Yeah.
sense to me. Where the
Right.
BABOK, I feel like I'm just like reading a social studies book from school that I have to, remember. But hey, Aaron, I'm looking for a mentor, so
There you go.
I think
I
that
want to,
that might be a good mix.
I want to add something.
Yes, Ines.
Uh, you know, when I was taking like the mock exam, at the beginning I was doing on my iPad, and then I switched to my laptop, and I found something good on my laptop because I had the BABOK on the PDF. So every time I have like a wrong question, I can go back to the BABOK. I do a search on the BABOK to confirm, if I was wrong. So I confirm there. I just went to the BABOK and see, okay, so that makes me, more sense. That is a way of learning. When you answer the wrong question, even they sometimes, watermark, they like evaluate all your answers and you have like an idea when, why it was wrong. But since I didn't have any more the watermark, I just switched again to adaptive. Sometime in adaptive, they only, say the correct question. So I went to the BABOK PDF and I can do like really, quick search, like, okay, financial analysis or this terminology, I went to the BABOK.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that helped me doing on my laptop and having the BABOK on the background. So every time I want to confirm a question or I have a doubt,
Mm-hmm.
I reference the BABOK with the questions on the market time.
Very good. Good
Yes.
hint. Okay, the rest of y'all, who hasn't told us how you feel about taking the test?
I feel okay about it so far. I'm aiming for October because I still think I need to get some more information in my brain. I'm reading the BABOK and Watermark like a chapter a day,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm taking the Watermark test. I try to do like 25 questions just on one chapter. So that's been helpful, taking the questions after I've read so I can kind of apply what I've been trying to internalize in my brain. But yeah, I'm just pacing myself and just trying to really get a good handle on it and stay consistent. That's why I like this group because it helps me like I know I have to meet up next week, so I need to make sure I'm studying so I'm prepared. So I
Yeah.
appreciate the camaraderie here.
Awesome.
Guys,
Thank you, Steve.
what is happening in October? Why are you all targeting October?
I need more time. I need more time.
Okay.
Michelle and Aaron get a bonus if they pass a certification test after a certain point. And so they have to wait until that point. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay. Because I don't
So-
get it. Why to wait till October? I will forget everything till October.
Yeah.
Well, they have a fiscal year that they've got to
Okay.
the next fiscal year thing. And Stephen, you're just setting October because you want to be sure you give yourself enough time, right?
Yeah, I mean, what's the earliest we can take it? Like,
You could take it now if you wanted to.
Tomorrow.
Anybody here
Yeah.
can take it. You gotta book it, and it typically takes 3 maybe 3 to 5 days out, depending on your testing center. They just have to have a space for you. So you could take it now if you wanted to.
And then there's like a limit, like you have to take it within a year of when you.
Once you get your application accepted, you have 1 year from the date of the acceptance to take the test.
Okay.
So you got to get your application in. And I know you're working on it.
Yeah,
So
I'm trying to get
get
that
it
done.
in, get it submitted. So there are people that they're scared of submitting their application. It's almost like they're afraid somebody's going to come slap their hand. These folks want you to submit your application. They want you to take the test. They want you to succeed. So don't treat them like they're scary monsters. They're hoping, they're waiting. That's all they do is wait for your application.
And just a note there, if anyone has their IIBA membership through their work, if it's a corporate membership, there are free credits. So I didn't have to pay for my test and Robin didn't have to pay for hers. And then I have someone else taking ECBA because we had enough credits for all of those with the corporate membership. And then
Right.
Karen and Michelle's will have to pay for, but most corporations don't have 4 people taking it in the same year. So
Right.
Yeah.
So there's 3 different levels of corporate membership, and each one gives you a different number of how many tests that you can take without having to pay for anything. So if your company is national or worldwide, you probably have a corporate membership, you don't even know it. So check into that. If you want help checking into it, I can check online if you don't know who to check with your company.
the lowest membership gives you enough credits for 2 CBAPs plus a lower test. So
Right. Okay, Kasi.
Well,
Kasi, tell us how you feel about taking the test now.
well, I mean, the more I read about the technique, the more I'm getting confused.
Okay.
Yeah, but now, I mean, that was a joke. But seriously,
Oh, okay. I thought it was for real, dude. You had me hurting.
now, I think for me, the reality is to kind of really come familiar, and the list you provided, is really helping me, and I try to practice. I do have a goal is to have 3 certification by the end of this year. In 12 months, I have my ECBA. I'm working on my ACC, and I'm taking my CBAP in August, hopefully.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
I don't really believe that I'm gonna say this, but the more I read the ACC book, the more the BABOK makes sense.
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, you can argue
I
that
know.
you can argue that, but for me, like I can now relate how they wrote it like so broadly, so everyone can really use it. So this one thing that I'm working on. I'm not where I wanted to be yet as far as the CBAP, but I keep pushing, and like I don't know, I think Stefan or Aaron, you said, I'm really fired up when it comes to Thursday for whatever reason. I wanted to
Oh,
be on
that's
game,
good.
and I really like this group as well. So for me, I'm not there yet, but I keep pushing.
I'm so impressed with every single one of you. I told you at the very beginning this was hard, and you had no clue what I meant, but you have a clue now, and you're still here and you're still doing it. So I really commend you for that. This is not an easy thing. It's one of the hardest certifications to get, but you're doing it. You're answering the questions correctly, but what's more important is not only do you have the information from the BABOK in your mind, you understand the reasoning of how to reason through the questions to get to the best answer. So that's invaluable. Let's talk about some things that are coming up. Instead of us trying to answer test questions right now, let's talk about some things that will be beneficial to you. In August, we're going to start a different kind of program with the IIBA, the earlier meetings, the ones that are from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to walk through an SDLC project, and we're going to put people in different small groups, 5 to 7 people, and you're going to actually make software. Not all of you are going to be developers, but you're going to actually have a role and know during this meeting, the team's goal is to do this, and your role has a goal and checklist of doing these things. And then the next meeting, you have a new checklist, a new goal. But it teaches you, what does the tester do? What does the project manager do? What does the program owner do? What does the business analyst do? So we're going to actually make something, and I'm pushing for it to be something that's real, that we can put on the BA Force Multipliers website, and you can say, I'll show you where the project is I worked on, and you can go and open it up so that you have something that you can say, I understand SDLC at a conceptual level, and I've worked through one project. It's going to be Agile, so you get not only education credits, but you're also going to get Agile credits. So you can double dip on this one. Right now we're thinking we were originally thinking it was going to be 8 weeks. We're thinking we need a few more. It might be 11, because we don't want to just skim over the top. We want it to be something real that you can participate in. So that's coming up in August, and it's going to go through September and into October right now. Any questions on that one?
Okay.
Okay. I feel like there's about 15 other things. Oh, if any of you are looking for additional certifications that you're interested in, you might look at certifications based on industry. For instance, in insurance, there's a certification called AINS. It's AINS. It's just the basics of insurance. It gets you the terminology and the relationships between things. It probably puts you 30 to 50% higher in being able to get a job in that industry, just because you have the certification that most of your peers that are applying for the job don't have. So think about what certification, what industries you want to get into, and then go find out what certifications they value. And be sure that if you're looking at a certification, you're looking at the latest version of it. For instance, PMI, Project Management Institute, for years, they had a book very similar to the BABOK called the PMBOK, the Project Manager Body of Knowledge. And it was about, 500, 600 pages, just like ours. Recently, they went through a big change and they merged with Agile something. And they cut out about 2/3 of that book and put in a little bit. And it's a whole lot skinnier little book. And I honestly wonder, what's the difference in taking the test now versus then?
It was a 4-hour test. I did take the long version, and it took 4
Yeah,
hours.
me too. Not fair. Bring it back.
Fair. It's not fair. But if you haven't taken it and you're interested in getting a project management certification, the new test is going to be a whole lot easier, especially if you understand Agile.
Well, that's
That
good to
people
know.
already have it, so it's valuable.
So life isn't fair, but this is what we have. What other certifications do y'all feel are valuable that either you see in job postings, requires or prefers a certification? Have you seen anything?
So I have also PSPO 1 and 2. It's like product owner, because normally here in the US, when they post some vacancies, so normally it combines 2 roles. And
Right.
if you are a PO, you do both.
Oh, yes. Yes. So how long did it take you to get each of those 2 certifications?
It's easier, much easier than this one. So I bought a course on Udemy, and it was enough, basically, combining with a work experience, and it took me months or month and a half
to get each one.
So and I bought a simulator too, and listening videos in the car. So not a big deal. It was much easier than this. Yeah.
Okay. There is a certification called a Certified Scrum Product Owner that's literally a weekend class.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, 2 days, you got letters after your name. But I cannot stress this enough. It's one of the most valuable courses I've ever taken, because we did some exercises that taught us things about lean. We did exercises that taught us things about evaluation and prioritization. We did exercises that taught me that you can get the 75% of the most value in the first 50% of the project. that math doesn't work in my brain, but I saw it. It's true. If you prioritize properly, you can get the biggest value in half the project. Doesn't even make sense, but it's true. What other certifications do y'all feel are valuable?
I've got a lot of value from the Lean Six Sigma.
Yeah.
Lean Six Sigma, that's not a belt, right?
It is a belt. Yeah, this
It
green,
is.
the green and the black belt.
Okay, so there's like 5 belts in there, right?
I think it's just well, there's yellow, green, and black. Yellow is not. I don't even know if it's a proctored exam. I mean, you could just look online, take a quick course. But the green and the black were both instructor-led, month-long projects with a group that we actually just learned while we worked through a real project. This was actually a good instructor. We got to bring a problem that we had at our work.
Oh, that's great.
Working with stakeholders and work through it.
Yeah.
Some instructors are better than others, but the concepts are good.
There are some companies that they want to be able to say, we've got, 15 black belts on our staff, and they will give you a project that's an idiot project, and you just kind of like do this thing, and then you're a black belt. So whenever somebody says they're a black belt, it doesn't mean they've done a real project that they really understand what black belt means. So you gotta know that, and then whenever you are a black belt, you've got to be able to say, I'm a black belt, my project was, and make it sound, give it the 2-sentence thing that shows you have credibility about it, because people know there's the idiot projects and then there's the real projects.
Well, my black belt project was HR onboarding, and my green belt project was to improve the fleet maintenance times.
Very cool. There's lots of math involved in a lean.
Lots of data, and that's why I loved it,
A lot
because
of data.
I'm a former database administrator, so I don't care about the front end of the application. I go right into the back, look at the data.
Very good. Any other certifications or trainings of any sort that y'all think are valuable?
I've heard of I've seen some of my colleagues on LinkedIn have a ProSci change management certification. Have you ever heard anything about it? Like, I don't really.
One of my BAs on the board at Tampa Bay, she has more certifications. I said, I don't even know what some of these are. And it doesn't mean that they're bad. It's just I'm ignorant. And she said, well, I laid out a business analysis and I looked at all the different things. And so I went and got certifications in every single one. So ProSci is a change management certification, I think.
It is. I have that one.
Oh, do
you, Aaron? I thought it was really good.
What did it teach you?
So it's really all about managing people's expectations of the change. So like when you're coming into a project, and so in BABOK, and that's one of the things I think that confuses me, is change has a different meaning. So like that's any project, and any project is a change, but what it does is you're looking at your attractors and your detractors and having to basically balance the risk, and it teaches you to work with the people to find the value in it for them. And so how do you motivate people? And they have the acronym ADKAR, ADKAR. And so it breaks it down into a process where you're evaluating the team and how the solutions can impact them, and really look at, people have different motivations. Like some people are just there to collect a paycheck, and some people get the big vision of what it's going to be at the end. But anything you do is going to impact the way people work. Sometimes it's more work, sometimes it's just different. And for us, like I think as BAs, a lot of times we're looking for, hey, what's going to be the more efficient solution? What's going to provide us a gain? Let's close that gap. But people think that gap is my job, or I need to do it because I need to see it in this way. And I've worked with people who that Chrome logo on the bottom represented the website they went to, and they didn't understand that they could have multiple different tabs or use a different browser. Like that website was the application, and Chrome represented that to them. And so in understanding that, and I think that's just kind of where the whole change management comes in. So that was something that they used when we did a ERP implementation at my previous place.
Right. The change management is like half of our job as business analysts, and understanding how to manage it is golden. So I think that it's a really valuable thing to at least understand, even if you don't get the certification. I think studying for certifications is beneficial because it opens your eyes to things that you didn't know before. You go through something systematically. I learned Excel by myself. I learned it on my own. And so I thought, I know Excel and I can do some things really awesome. And I was oblivious. I was blind to the things that were in the menu that I had never used. So going through a training gives you things, you know, soup to nuts. And so you learn them and you learn how to use them to its fullest instead of just, I didn't know that was there. It kind of gives you tools in your toolbox that you didn't know. It also gives you confidence, right? I remember this. I learned this new thing, and I can tell my coworkers about it. I can bring value to my work. We are at the end of our time tonight. I know this was not a normal time. Inez, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope it was beneficial for you as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we will start our normal program again next week, and we'll go back to the test questions. We'll do multiple chapters again. Yes, Michelle.
Sorry, I just want to mention to Stephen, I don't know if you watched our previous recordings, but that might help since you're waiting a little bit to take your test. Sometimes I watch our recordings over and over again. Sometimes just you'll hear something different that you didn't hear the day in class, and it'll make like the different, sense to you. So maybe that would help. Also, Thursday nights are my social hour. This is the highlight of my night. So I appreciate all of you.
Oh my goodness. I love you guys.
Don't make fun of me, but I didn't even realize they were available on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
To me. So like I missed a session and I was like, oh man, I need to get a link. So but she showed me it was on YouTube. Oh, I could have just looked it up, but
It's
thank
all right.
you.
Actually, we have all of the sessions. If you go, I'm going to drop it in the chat. RP Churchill.
I have it saved. Yep.
Yeah, even previous classes before us are on there that have sometimes different questions.
I'm going to show you this screen here. So you go to RP Churchill. I've gone there so much my browser knows me. And then you go to Tampa
You're not
IIBA
sharing yet.
Dude, I'm so sorry. Let's try it again.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. This is his website, and then go to Tampa IIBA study group. And then I'm going to grab the scroll bar here and go all the way down to the bottom. This is what we're doing right now. But if you go up a little bit, what's above this is these are all of our speakers that we've had over the years and what they talked about. And these that say passing, these are people that have passed the CBAP. This is them talking about it. And then if you go up above this, here's techniques like mind mapping. Here is Bob's article. This is Bob talking about it, and this is Andrea talking about it. So it's two different sessions that we talked about that one technique. I will tell you, Bob kind of talks high level, so it may not be as easy for you to follow. And then if you go up above that, here are previous years. This is 2021, 2022, 2025. Looks like he's putting them up here too. 2024. So you can go through same thing we've been doing, except we're better at it now. I didn't used to say, what knowledge area is this? What task is this? Which ones can we eliminate? I didn't know how to do that then. We figured it out over the years. This is here for you to access. It's publicly available. It's here for everybody. And we want to just make it accessible.
I went to some of them, Tia. You shared with me. So I used that.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
So thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. Thank you for attending and bringing your experience and your wisdom to our class.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
The rest of you and all of you have a happy 4th of July, even if you don't live in the United States. I think we ought to plan on taking a road trip to see our friend in the Virgin Islands someday. You know,
Yeah, there you go.
class
Yeah, come
reunion,
on
right,
down.
Stephen?
Yeah.
And then we can, you know, celebrate our all of us getting our certifications.
There you go.
Good idea.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. All right, guys. See you
Bye.
next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good
Thank
night.
you.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
Hussey,
Thank
Hussey,
you.
you stay on, please.
Sure. Yeah.